Ever get that feeling like you're a mashup of all these different things?
Mm,
Like all these different styles and influences have made you know?
yeah,
Well, that's basically pastiche.
it is.
And today, we're taking a deep dive into pastiche source to see just how far this idea goes.
Okay.
Because, get this, it's not just about art or music like you might think.
Right.
Pastiche source digs into how this whole pastiche thing is actually woven into, well, basically everything about you. Your
Interesting.
whole story, your essence, all of that.
I like that.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Yeah, it is.
So are you ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So pastiche source really wants us to see ourselves as these like living pastiches,
Okay.
which at first might sound a bit strange, but when you break it down, it makes total sense.
Yeah, how so?
Well, think about it, right? Every single person you've met, every experience you've ever had, even the books you've read, the places you've traveled to, they all leave these little marks on who you are,
It's true.
like fingerprints almost.
I like that analogy.
It's like that question they pose in the source. What's the mix of influences that shaped who you are today?
That's a good one.
And I think what's really interesting is how they point out that even people who aren't in your life anymore
Right.
still have this like lasting impact.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it could be a mentor who totally sparked this passion in you,
Yeah.
or even someone, maybe they didn't mean to, but they taught you a huge life lesson by showing you what not to do.
Oh, absolutely. We learn from those experiences too.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes each person so unique, right?
Okay.
Because we're all walking around with this like crazy blend of influences.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like our own personal recipe, but instead of ingredients,
Like
it's
people and experiences and like all these different flavors from the world around us.
exactly. And those ingredients, they shape our interests. Yeah, but they also go deeper.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Deeper than just what we like or dislike.
Right. They shape our values, our quirks, even how we react to things.
Mhm.
It's fascinating.
It really is. And knowing all of this, knowing that we're these living pastiches, as they put it, well, it can be incredibly powerful.
I agree.
Like, it helps you understand why you make the choices you do.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace those strengths,
Yeah, for sure.
and even maybe see where you might want to grow or, like, explore some more.
That's a great point.
So we've established that we're all these amazing, one-of-a-kind pastiches.
They are.
But Pastiche Source doesn't stop there.
Oh, no.
They go on to ask, how do you think combining different ideas makes something new and exciting?
Oh, that's a great question.
And this really gets us thinking about creativity in a whole new light.
I think it really challenges us to step outside the box and think, what if we combine this with that? What would happen?
Yeah. So what's the answer then? How do we combine these different ideas to actually make something exciting and new?
Well, I think a big part of it is this concept of creative recombination.
Okay, what's up?
It's the idea that a lot of times true innovation comes from taking existing elements and, well, blending them in unexpected ways. And we
Interesting.
see this everywhere, not just in art or music.
Give me some examples, because I'm not sure I'm getting it.
Sure, sure. Think about smartphones.
Okay.
They took cameras, music players, personal organizers, and blended them all into this single device.
Oh.
Or look at online education.
Mhm.
They took traditional learning methods and mixed them with digital technology, and it's changed how we learn.
Yeah, it has.
And even in our own lives, we're constantly recoming ideas. Maybe you heard a time management tip on a podcast and used it to improve your workouts.
Oh, that's actually a really good example. I've totally done that before.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Once you start seeing the world through this lens of creative recombination, you start to see the possibilities everywhere.
Yeah, wow. I never thought of smartphones as a form of creative recombination before, but it makes total sense.
Right. It's about connecting those dots between things that seem totally unrelated.
So cool.
And Pastiche Source also reminds us that it's not just about blending these ideas, it's about adding your own personal twist.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Like they say, every new piece has an origin, meaning it comes from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that individual touch, that unique perspective you bring that makes it truly original.
And all of that comes from your own unique pastiche, right?
Exactly. So it's like taking inspiration, mixing it with your experiences, and creating something new.
That leads perfectly into that last question from Pastiche Source,
Okay.
the one that gets super personal.
What is it?
When was the last time you created something by mixing different styles or ideas? How did it turn out?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Right? It makes you think.
It does.
And I think what I appreciate is that they actually share a story in the source about how their own creative attempts didn't always work out perfectly.
Oh, interesting.
Like, they didn't always end up with masterpieces.
That's relatable.
Super relatable, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have those moments where we try to be creative and it just flops.
It happens.
And that's okay.
Exactly. It's part of the process.
Because I think what you're highlighting here is that sometimes the real magic, the real learning,
Oh, yeah.
happens in those messy moments of experimentation.
Absolutely. You got to be willing to try things out, combine those seemingly random ideas, and see what happens.
Even if it means failing sometimes.
Even if it means failing. Sometimes those failures are the most valuable because they teach you the most.
They refine your understanding.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, they lead to those breakthroughs.
For sure. And sometimes the things that don't work out become the seeds for something else entirely.
Exactly. And I think it's so easy, especially these days, to get caught up in the pressure to be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Like to only share the polished, successful side of things.
Social media doesn't help.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But those messy in-between moments, those are where the real growth happens.
I completely agree.
And, as we wrap up this deep dive, it's important to remember, like, we are all these walking, talking pastiches,
You are.
constantly changing and evolving as we encounter new things.
It's a beautiful thing, really.
It is. And I think the real question Pastiche Source leaves us with is, knowing how powerful pastiche is, how can you, consciously choose the influences that shape you?
Ooh, that's a great question to leave our listeners with, something to really ponder.
It is. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep embracing your own unique
Pastiche.
pastiche.
Exactly.